Yeah, let's hop right into it. How's everyone doing today? All right, all right. How many of y'all been to a bill before? How about 2 bills? 3? 4? Okay, and then we taper off from there. So Michael and I have, I think, probably been to the most bills of anyone. I think I'm at like 12 or 13, and you're at like right around there at that same number. And so today we wanted to do, can everybody see the screen all right? I want to make sure that, all right, cool. So yeah, today I wanted to talk about sort of where we've been the last 10 years. Yes, BIL started in 2007. And sort of where we're going from here and what we've learned over the past 10 years by doing this grand experiment. So we'll get to the start. So in 2007, for those of you who don't know, BIL started as a kind of a bad idea to go crash the TED conference because we were sort of locked out of the TED festivities. And a group of us got together and decided that we would go and go out to Monterey and hang out for the week and hassle the TEDsters and see what was going on. And once we got out there, we realized, we weren't going to be able to get into TED because we had 40 people at this point. And we realized that during the day we weren't going to have anything to do, but at night we'd go out and hang out in the lobbies and the hotel lobbies and the restaurants and bars. And during the day we weren't going to have anything to do, so we decided, well, we've got a lot of smart people coming already. Why don't we do our own thing and kind of do an unconference and just kind of put something together because we got nothing else to do. And so one thing led to another, and then word got out that we were doing that, and then it ballooned up to like 300 people. We had to turn people away at the last moment because we didn't have, this thing kind of got out of control really quickly. So after that first year, TEDx came around, and that was kind of a response, we feel, to our to this event, and that was TED kind of releasing some of the pressure that was building up on the outside. And we thought that was a great way for us to sort of, for year 2, just tag along with TEDx, and we'll go down that plan. But I want to show you something. So this is the TEDx rules, as you'll see that come up here. They have a table of contents for TEDx. These are the rules that they give you when you want to do a TEDx. And that's not even the PDF for applying for one of these things. So once we saw that, we went, that doesn't look like a lot of fun. What we did down in Monterey looks nothing like this. No. And so these are our rules. It's spelled BIL, and it has to be blue. Everything outside of that, it's up to you. There's really no format or any sort of hard and fast rules. There's some good ideas and stuff, but that's about where that ends. So then, after I guess after the second year?
After the second year, then
we had the idea of doing a TEDMED. Jonathan Sheffy had the idea, and we were standing outside the Rock Bottom Brewery down in Long Beach, and I said, let's see, TEDMED, Bill Pill, perfect, right? So that happened in San Diego, Boston, and Washington, D.C. And then within that first year or two, India and Afghanistan came online. So Todd Huffman, who was one of the founders, was over in Afghanistan doing some humanitarian work and was in a village with like a bunch of kids, and these kids wanted to learn, so he busted out a laptop and the kids sat around a campfire basically and taught each other and learned from each other. And this was like the second, I guess it was the second bill that happened outside the United States. And that was kind of a real inspiration. And Todd, to this day, still says that was the best bill he's ever attended.
And there was only like 12 people?
Yeah, like 12, 13 kids under the age of like 15 or something like that, just learning. And then so, are y'all ready for growth? You can't handle the growth. It's my favorite slide. So this is where I'll pass the mic over to.
Yeah, so I'm just going to stay sitting here. But this is one of the interesting things. In 2012, during the Arab Spring, whenever that was happening, a guy in Tunisia reached out to me. And he's like, hey, we heard about this BIL conference thing, and we want to do one. What's the licensing fee? We're like, licensing fee? What are you talking about? We don't have a licensing fee. He's like, you don't have a fee? I'm like, no. So he's like, well, we want to do one. I was like, okay, that's great. And, not really knowing like what somebody's commitment level is or how this is going to go, I was like, okay, well, we'll give you as much support as you want. Just let us know whenever you got to do this. These are the graphics. This is basically how we do it in the States. And if you need any help, just let us know. Well, a couple months go by, and this guy Kareem, he messages me back. He's like, okay, we've got the bill. It's scheduled. We're gonna have it. And so they had their first one in 2012, like late 2012, and to just give you an idea, they had one that year, they had a couple the next year, and in 2015 alone, they had 35 bill events. 35. They have over 3,000 volunteers in Tunisia alone. So they have essentially taken the idea of what we're doing with BIL and just run with it. And they're doing a really good job of spreading it over into places like UAE and Egypt as well. So I actually went over to Tunisia in November to go to one of their events and spoke about the history of BIL, kind of like basically the talk that we're giving now, and told some stories about like the first year and what we were doing. And it was really, really interesting because they have a lot of youth that are really involved in the volunteerism that's taking place with BIL. So it was a really cool experience, and it kind of was a renewed, a refreshment on why we were doing this in the first place. For building communities and just spreading education and learning. So they're doing a really good job over there. I mean, they're setting an example for everybody else, actually. So it's really cool.
Yeah, they're definitely kicking our ass. Europe has come online with France, and then Africa.
Like 3 days ago, somebody in Uganda threw a bill in their capital city of Kampala.
Yeah. So now it's spread to Africa. I mean, we're spreading everywhere. We're not really doing a whole lot of pushing. It's just bubbling up from the bottom up, which is kind of how BIL started to begin with. All right, so then over the past 10 years, we've been doing a lot of growing up as a community, starting out with a bunch of misfits that got together in Monterey, and to looking at what we're doing now. And this is kind of where Michael should probably talk more about this stuff, because I don't like the legal talk.
So basically, we decided a couple years ago that we needed to start a nonprofit because BIL needs some support structure. But we wanted to create something in such a way that wasn't like a governing body of BIL. It was something that sat outside of BIL that actually was just there as support, because I don't know how many people here in this room have actually tried to throw an event like this, or an actual more organized event, but there's a lot of money on the line and a lot of risk to individuals that actually have to put their name on the line. So like Christy and Faya over here right now are the ones responsible for this event. And so, like, and I've been leading up some of these events too by myself, and then there's many other people who've done these events, and you put a lot of risk out there to do this, and so we're like, there needs to be some kind of a system that we can build that doesn't actually have any control over how any individual BIL actually runs, but it actually is there to provide support in case it's needed. So there's now actually a 501c3 called BIL Collaborative that is here in the United States. Canada now has a nonprofit as well, and so does Tunisia. So there are nonprofits popping up to help support this organization, and it's like we have nothing to do with the nonprofit that's in Canada, and we have nothing to do with the nonprofit that's in Tunisia. They're just systems that are being built by, distributed and done by the people to help out with the event. So that is the one thing that we've like accomplished as an organization. I think Cody, this is important. So all of the BIL, like the logos and everything, Todd, whenever we first started doing this, he released all of that as Creative Commons. Like we have no control over what's actually done with it. Anybody can take BIL, they can do a BIL. Like we can't do anything to stop them from doing that if they want to. We have no legal rights to stop them from doing any of that. So that's actually good, and that's what we wanted, and we set it up that way on purpose, because this is not an organization that has a hierarchy. This is a very flat organization. So anybody can step in at any point and actually take care of anything that they want. They can start a BIL over in Kenya or Japan or whatever if they want to, and they don't have to ask us permission for that. There are a few things, I guess, like the permission stuff, though. There are a few things, I guess, like if you want us to like get you on the website and get all of that stuff, like there's a couple of us, like Cody and I deal with the website stuff, so like promotion, like sure, ask us like to help you out with that, and we'll do that. But there might be a BIL that's taking place that we don't know about. That's possible.
Which is kind of fun for the whole thing. The reason why I used a cactus on this is lawyers are pricks. All right. The slide had a little place to put a photo in there, so I figured, what the hell. So here we are in 2016, and the rhetorical question is, what's next? And how do we move beyond TED? So this is something that Michael and I have been talking a lot about over the past couple of years. We've been on this kind of coupled with TED, and that's what has been fueling the spread up to Vancouver. We just got done with Vancouver about a month ago. They're in their third year. It took us about 2 years of he and I managing the Vancouver expansion once TED moved from Long Beach to Vancouver. And it took us about 3 years to really get that up off the ground, and now the reins have been handed over to the Vancouverites, and they're running with it now full speed, and which kind of frees up Michael and I to not try to plan a conference from Texas in Vancouver. If you can imagine, if y'all could imagine doing this from 2,000 miles away. And so we've been talking about this beyond TED. How do we grow BIL something bigger? Because we're not here because of TED anymore. We're here because of BIL. And so BIL now stands on its own, and that's a really great realization and accomplishment for the community. And so I guess the fun part is the next slide, and that's I kind of made this announcement about 2 months ago, and I kind of wanted to unveil it here today, but the cat's already out of the bag. So. Are y'all familiar with the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland? It's a very large economic and very impactful meeting of the minds from around the world. It is a top-down organization. They invite speakers, people show up, and then it's a very I don't want to say restrictive, but managed event, and it doesn't allow for a lot of disruption or ideas to flourish. You kind of have to be in the Goldman Sachs family to have a seat at the table. And that is where, I love this effect, BIL Davos comes into play. And so that's kind of the next thing. Michael and I are kind of heading up the Davos Expansion, which will be in Switzerland in January next year.
So we get to organize another event like 4,000 miles away.
Well, yeah, exactly, but in a different language this time. So this is going to prove to be a big challenge, but I think we're up for it. We've done this for 10 years now, and I think it's time to move on past the TED model. And yeah, so right now it's gathering contacts, information. I mean, I've never attended the World Economic Forum, so I have no idea what I'm getting into with the Swiss Guard being there and security out the wazoo. But that's kind of our deal. And are you for real? Oh, yes, we're for real. This last slide is go ahead.
So Tamsin here is from Vancouver. She's one of our builders in Vancouver, and she flew down here to come to BIL LA. And she does a lot of work in human-centric design, and she's trying to help us organize some simple messaging. It was really weird. So she basically sat down while we were in Vancouver, and over the course of 2 days, her only experience with BIL, she basically summed up exactly what BIL was in the most concise and visual way that we've ever seen. So we were like, hey, you need to come down here and see what we're doing in California as well. So what she's got out there, which we'd like you guys to participate in, is a board that kind of like asks you like, what is BIL to you, and how can we make it better? It's working you through this process, and she's going to try to take all that information and visualize it for us. So we'd like you guys to actually participate in that whenever you get a free chance this afternoon. So that would be great.
Yeah, and this will help when we're trying to explain this to the World Economic Forum people, that we're not just a bunch of hippies that want to get together and have great parties and share ideas. We need a way to kind of take this, boil it down to a place that someone like the World Economic Forum can understand and digest and go, okay, we're cool with y'all being here. Call the Swiss Guard off. These guys don't need to be arrested. That's my biggest fear. So, yeah, we'd like to continue the discussion. If you see Michael or me around, we're looking for information and help and input. And we sort of make some decisions on this stuff based on the consensus of the group, and we really appreciate the trust that we're sort of given to do this the right way and not, hurt things, keep things the way they should be. So, ta-da!
All right, here is your chance to ask these guys And these ladies, your questions.
Thanks for making BIL.
Yeah, it's all y'all. It's not us. We just know HTML. That's all.
So I understand the whole thing behind TED, and we don't like it, or it's not approachable, yada, yada, yada. But one of the things that TED provides that I haven't seen any other organization provide is the online content. So I enjoy these talks. I can come and hear it, and the moment I'm out of it, the talks are gone. I mean, we try a lot to bring them online, but there's no actual structure for it to bring it and have.
That has been probably the biggest problem in the last 10 years that we have not been able to solve. It's because all of the volunteers run to make the event happen, and then the last thing that Faya and Christy want to do the day after is talk anything about BIL, and it's hard to get a group to want to work after the event because the fun's already over. And so that's and we're trying to figure that out, but we might need y'all's help on that to figure out how to solve that.
So on a follow-up on that, I think one of the things that works great is we have the live feed right now on the main stage.
Yes.
If all the content is actually made available immediately, then it takes rid of the editing. Sure, there might be problems, but the content will already be there, and people might not have a problem.
Capturing the content's never the problem. It's
No.
It's
Just
editing it for YouTube.
I'm saying don't edit it.
Just leave it in one giant chunk?
No. Well, split it up, but you can do this on the day that's happening.
Yeah.
It's easier to manage that versus having people come back later.
Sure.
I'm talking about somebody that came out of the webcasting industry back in the Pentium 133 days. We would do live webcasting, but it was also important to have a second encoder that was building content side by side with the live stream, and that at the end of that particular piece of content, we'd hit the clip, shut down the encoder. We've already got that stored content, and we're talking about the days of the first of the DSL lines.
Yeah.
Ship that to the storage facility, and then it would be available offline within a matter of moments. So the trick is to have a couple of encoders, one running for live encode and one of them running, and then it's a matter of just taking that file that's built.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, like, Alex and the TV Free Media guys who are doing this for BIL, like,
Right.
they are saviors as far as the media stuff's concerned in this event. They do such a good job getting this content for this event online, but the content at this particular event isn't the only content that's available. Like I said, we got 35 events happening in Tunisia, and we've got this, so how do we scale this?
And now's when we start talking about 2017. Other questions?
Am I up?
Yeah.
So can you be a little more specific, if you want, about what kind of things you're looking for to make BIL Davos come off? Man, I want to be there.
Yeah.
I want to help.
Awesome. So I'm not going to pretend to be an economist, I can barely manage my own finances. What we want to do is create a rally call for all the people who are interested in those kind of topics. Go ahead.
I'm working right now with all of the absolute global top leads at Accenture.
Oh.
And one of the guys I work with
Yeah.
is like a Davos hound.
Okay.
And he would probably go for this like nobody's business. So we could probably get him to come somehow be a part of this, and that would probably unlock every door.
What are you doing for dinner?
Probably meeting you. But, I actually have to go with my wife at 6. But let's talk after this, and we'll
Where are
set it
y'all
up.
going to dinner?
Okay.